Welcome to the Explosive Strength Podcast and another round of Weekly Shit with Jared Bidney. This week, we're just going to go through the week again like we've been doing in the past, and hopefully these future episodes of the Explosive Strength Podcast, I'm going to start not only telling what happens on a daily basis, but if I learn something on that day as far as reading material or what I've kind of learned from someone else or I picked up, I'm going to start trying to share that as well. So anyway, here we go for another round of Weekly Shit with Jared Bidney. So we'll start again with Saturday. I had had a kid that's been coming to the gym for a while, and he's a beast on the football field. And his dad wanted to bring three of his friends, try it out. I said, okay, yeah, they can do that. So they came in, and Saturday for people that come every day is typically a bench day. So, and a lot of people can almost know what they bench. They're pretty close to that, but if you ask them what they freaking squat, they don't have a clue. Had a kid said he squatted 205. Actually, squat max was 155, so it was way to freak off with that. So it kind of lets me know. I'll ask them where they are, then I'll have them lay down on the bench so I can see what they look like. So I don't tell them how to set up or anything when I first look at them. I just want them to lay down, move the bar, and see what they look like. I can't tell them what to fix if I don't see what's wrong. And so I'm also thinking about doing something for my YouTube. Start putting videos out there, like take a kid that's never been to the gym before and video the process of how I would teach someone how to bench, how to set up, and whatnot with that, and maybe take 2 or 3 people because everybody's going to have somewhat of a different setup, and show you how I would assess different things. Like I had a guy come in here the other day, and he wanted to learn how to squat more with a wide stance, with the shins more vertical and stuff like that. And I was going to just regular squat him, but he was so freaking tight, I couldn't regular squat him. I had to put him on the box squat at a higher level with more of a firm pad, or I used my Eleiko bumper plates because I just need to be able to pull some out and lower him as he got more flexible in getting in with it. So I was going to just regular squat him, and I ended up having to do something totally different. And so like if I'm having someone bench press or do something like that, there's no telling where I'll be at or where they'll be at, or that'll let you see, because everybody's not the same and everybody's going to be a little different. So try to figure out how to get someone set up properly. If they're more of a seasoned lifter, if they've been lifting for a while, it's very hard to get them in the right position and get them ready for the bench, especially if they've been benching wrong and they've been using their shoulders. I like for people to be arm dominant. A lot of people are shoulder dominant benchers, and that's how these baseball players. Hey, Jared, baseball players don't need to bench press. No, baseball players need to learn how to bench press. You know, if you use your shoulders when you bench press, of course, it's got a chance to get injured. But it's just kind of like you've got to get stronger. You cannot stay the same. Sometimes you have to increase your physical ability so that your skill level can increase. Sometimes your skill level is limited by your physical ability to produce force. All right, so if you look at a kid that wants to do something all the time and they can't quite do it, it may be because the physical ability or the strength, when I say physical ability is going to be more related to strength, maybe the limiting factor holding them back. So, hey, throw the ball harder, throw the ball harder, throw the ball harder. They can't throw the ball harder because they don't have the freaking power. So you have to get stronger, but Jared, I don't want to bench. Well, bench press is related to swing speed in baseball. Softball, I've had softball players with that were leading home run hitters on their team. I have had 8th grade girls this year hit home runs. It's never hit home runs before. I had a guy that went from a 285 bench to a 315 bench. He was getting the ball to the fence. Just couldn't quite get it over last year. This year, he hit 3 or 4 home runs. And it's also correlated to swing speed in golf clubs. So the bench press, I hate it when people say, well, when are you ever going to be in your sport laying on your back bench pressing? Well, if you look at the biomechanics of the bench press or the muscles involved within the bench press, you got your pectoralis major, you got your pectoralis minor, you got your rotator cuffs involved, your triceps are involved, stabilizers are involved when you bench press. And when you bench press heavier weight, you're also strengthening your ligaments and tendons as well. You can't get strong lifting baby freaking weights, So anyway, getting off on that rant, those girls are home run hitters. They went off to college, hit home runs at the collegiate level, D1 level. So it's just not little going off the college or whatever. Baseball players started hitting home runs, exit velo goes up. I've had kids come this year that were baseball players and say, Jared, man, And they came because they saw their friend. Their friend was drastically different this year than they were last year. Well, if you come in and you put the work in, of course you're going to be. It's the whole thing is we're not trying to sit here and stay the same. And I'll get in like this past week was test week, so I'll explain some of that. But anyway, let's get back to those kids. They came in and they had an idea of what their bench press was. So I said, okay, let's go down. And I watched them bench, and I said, okay, well, this kid needs to do this, this kid. And so I manipulated them on the bench, how they need to feel the pressure, where they need to feel the pressure on their body on the bench. It's not very comfortable. I said, well, good. I said, if you're benching and you laying down and you feel like you're at a spa, it's not supposed to be comfortable. Anyway, so this one kid, I said, what's the most you've ever done? He said, 100 pounds. Well, shit, he almost benched 125. He just barely missed 125. If his triceps, he got it more than halfway up, but if his triceps were strong, he would have locked the freaking bench out. And I was like, dang, he couldn't believe it. And I asked his two buddies that were with him, and they said the most they've ever benched was 115. Well, one of them benched 145, and the other one benched 160. And that's just from changing the technique in one day. All of a sudden, their bench goes up 15, 20, 30 pounds. Never even done it before. And so I thought that was crazy. They thought that was crazy that just by changing their technique, how the bench got better. Just like I spoke on a podcast a couple weeks ago, a kid couldn't do 135 at all. It tried. Then I manipulated his technique. He did 135 for 2. Now we did 145 for sets of 5 the other day. But everybody's not the same. Some people may not be like that. They may not all of a sudden get a drastic increase. I've had kids come in here, bench 115, may have to work out with 75 pounds, very submaximal weight. But once I get that technique ingrained to them, then they'll go up. But I also have brothers in here. I have brothers and sisters in here. So if a younger brother works on his technique and gets his technique right, the older brother's naturally stronger, most often in general population. Usually the older brother's stronger. And so as the younger brother's changing, the older brother does not want to change his or her technique because they can lift the most right now. So if that kid, if the kid can bench 115, but his younger brother benches 95, and I have them working out with the same weight, the older brother does not like that because I'm stronger than him. Why am I working out with the same weight? Well, we have to get your technique adjusted. So this kid, for instance, may have to be that kid that benched 115, but has to work out with 75 until we get the technique ingrained into him. And so to where another kid, they may have to lift heavier. That's the difference like last week between the volume and intensity responder. This kid needed a lighter weight to get the technique ingrained because his shoulders are too strong. Once we do that, then we can gain about 10 pounds per month on the bench press. So once you manipulate their technique, you can get immediate effect out of whatever they are strong that day. Then some kids may have to go way down until they get the technique right before they can go up. Well, this one particular kid did not really want to listen, and he was stronger than his older. The older brother was stronger, but they were working out with the same weight, and so he didn't like this. He'd always fight me and try to add more weight when he's not supposed to add more weight and things like that. Because I have everything written down on their sheets every day, exactly how many sets, reps, what weight, and I dictate the rest periods for the gym. And so they'll fight me because an ego thing. So I try to talk to them about set your ego off to the side. I say I learned more about bench setup and stuff when I went to competitions. I got my ass kicked. I was like, damn, how the hell am I repping 405 in the gym? And I go to competition, I come out with a 376 competition max. And I was pausing training in the gym, and I was going to competition, and I had to pause too. Well, I learned the difference. A bench makes a big difference in your bench. So after going to competition, I was repping 405 and come out with a 376 bench. All right, well, I drive my bench up. Again, I come out with a 396 bench in the next competition. I was like, damn. So after that last competition, I went to that competition bench. I took a ink pen and I just ingrained in my freaking leg how high that pad was. And I came back to the gym and I searched every bench in this gym for that same height bench, and I didn't have one. So what I did is I took a 1/2 inch rubber mat, and that's where my feet are set on to make my feet and the bench pad height the same height as I would in competition. But I also learned I was benching when I was repping 405 for sets of 3, and even got up repping 405 for sets of 5, but I was using a 4 as a bench, which has a 2-inch thick soft pad on it. Well, what happens when you have a thicker pad like that, you're able to drive your shoulders into the bench more, and your arch is up a little higher, and it's easier to hold the arch once the weight is lifted out to you. And so when I went to competition, I was going to open up, since I did 405 for 3, I was going to open up at 402. Well, in the warm-up room, when they lifted 225 out for me, I was like, my chest fell about an inch, and I couldn't quite hold it up, and I was like, damn. So I went and had to change my opener to like 350 something. All right, got 350. Then I went 376. Then I couldn't get anything higher than 376. And because I couldn't hold my arch, because the pad in competition was almost like benching on a board. Although they have gripper pads that can help hold, the pad was so thin to where I couldn't dig into it as much like I could the Forza. And so right now I've got a bench that I bench on that the University of Memphis gave me. It's slick as can be, and all it basically is maybe it would hurt your shoulder blades because there's almost zero padding, and it's like a whatever the board is up under it. So it's super thin. It's the same width as the competition bench, so it's not too wide, and it does not have a gripper pad. So it's slick, thin, and at about the same width to where now I can start training my bench. So then I had to swallow my pride, like I was trying to tell that kid. I had to come back and start working out with the gym around 285. You know, like I'm repping 405 at the gym. Now I'm only doing 285. What's wrong with you, Jared? Well, I got to work on this. So all these kids saw that what I was lifting, now what I'm lifting now, I had to go back down and start over. I had to work on me because I hate going to competition to get my ass kicked. I said, I don't go there to freaking lose. You know, you don't go to war to get killed, you go to kill. And so I didn't want to, I got tired of freaking losing, so I said, look, I'll fix this, I'll swallow my pride, and look, let's just work out with 285 pounds until I get my, until I get used to the bench and whatnot. So, never got really much heavier than 355 for reps in the gym. And I go to the next competition and I bench 430. I said, competition is the only thing that matters. You know, who cares what you look like in the gym? So I then learned the bench pad makes a big difference on the bench. And so then I've got 3 different style of benches. I do have one that's designed like a competition pad with a grip pad. I do have the hard bench that I bench on. I got rid of the Forza. I threw it to a 24-hour gym because I don't care what they do over there. And I've got another pad. So I had, at one point I had 14 Team Explosive members, and I'd put certain ones on different benches. And everybody always wanted to go to the bench to where they could bench the most in the gym, and it was not the one I bench on, but they would go to competition. They would bench, like, so if I had like Kyle, when Kyle was benching 315 in the gym, he'd only go to competition, come out with a 303 bench. All right, Kyle qualified for Worlds, so we went to St. Croix for sub-junior Worlds or whatever it was at the time, so many years ago. He trained on the hard bench, he worked on his arch on the hard bench, went to competition. We didn't bench much more than 303 in the gym. We did get to it. He ended up benching 335 at 151 at 15 years old. Clean lift. He got 2 white lights, 1 red, but the head of the IPF overturned it, said his foot moved or something. So I don't know. Dennis Cherry was there. Dennis Cherry, if you look up his name, all-time world bench presser, not been beaten bench press in 25 years. Couldn't believe that Kyle could do that. And he was fighting for Kyle, and they had videos and trying to show that Kyle actually benched 335 at 151 at 15 years old and got overturned. But good thing we got the world record at 325 on the second attempt. But again, he trained on the right bench, and a lot of people don't know that the bench makes a big difference. So you'll see like these bench things advertised on different sites and stuff. You have to experiment yourself. I learned which bench helps most of us here because we went to competition and we got our ass kicked. We didn't lift what we did the same in competition as we were at the gym. I'd rather lift less in gym, more in competition, instead of more in the gym and less in competition because I want to win. So I know exactly where we are. I've got calibrated weights. I've got weights that are painted different colors. And if it says 45 pounds on that weight, it may weigh 45 and a half to 46 pounds. Those weights do not weigh less than what it says on that. They'd rather weigh more because you never know what you're going to get. So I'm always kind of prepared for that. So anyway, a whole big talk on bench press. The kids came in Saturday, improved their bench press, but then like I was just talking how I had to swallow my pride. I needed to tell that kid to swallow his pride. Work on your technique. If you work on this technique, you'll go up 10 pounds per month. If you don't, you may be stronger than your brother for a little while, but he's going to eventually catch you. Then once he catches you, he's going to pass you. Then you're not going to be able to get past him because he's going to be, you're not going to be able to catch him because he's already passed you and he's not going to let you catch him because he's already seen that you got beat. And so finally the other day, after his brother beat him by, his brother repped 135 for 4 and he couldn't rep 120 for 4. And so then he just kind of like gave in because once you get beat so much by that amount of weight, that 15 pounds, you're like, okay, what I've been doing is not working, Jared, you may be right. So he just broke down and let me fix him. But I'll let him get as strong as he wants to with bad technique if he wants. But eventually they have to want it. They have to want to get better at it. And I just told them the story like I told y'all. You got to swallow your pride and work on you. If you really want to be the best you can be. So don't worry about whatever everybody else thinks. They'll think something later when you're as strong as you can be. So anyway, that was Saturday. Sorry, I got off on a rant on the whole bench press fiasco or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, Sunday. Sundays typically our squat day. We bench on Saturday, squat on Sunday, and bench again on Monday. Jared, can you just push a car? I said, where the freak do you get that stuff? He said, it'll make you stronger. I said, how do you know? I said, you just can't go out there and freaking push a car. You have to have some type of means of overloading something. Like I had a kid today, Jared, what about plow swing? That'll make you stronger. I said, how do you know? How do you overload plow swing? Well, it'll help with explosiveness of the legs. Yeah. How do you know? How much will it help? Where's your measurable? How do you measure it? That's the original reason I bought the jump mat, was to create or try to calculate ground contact time, because jump mat can calculate ground contact time. I was trying to swing on the plow swing and try to create that, and I was always trying to mess around and figure out different methods to increase the vertical jump. The plow swing will help with the reactive absorbing forces and giving them back, absorbing. It's just basically like hurdle jumping, except for you can use overspeed eccentrics with the plow swing, help with the ground reaction forces. I just don't really know of a way to test that. And I sometimes only have an athlete for a month, so I'm trying to use what I can as fast as I can to get my results so that I can say, okay, this works. Like we record stuff all the time. Like we'll come in, we'll do tread sled. We have to beat our times. So like if you get a 46.1, next time if you get a 46.2, you still were a little bit better. May not be what you wanted to. Tread sled sucks, but next time you may get a 49. And then if you keep pushing it up, you record that. That's kind of how the secret of the gym is. I find stuff that I can record that I know whether the kids are trying or not. Sometimes you may not beat your tread sled. So if you ran a 42.4, and next time you came in and ran a 42.9, you may not beat it. Or if you're close enough, I know at least you tried. But if you come in one time, you get a 45. Next time you come in, you get a 39. I know you didn't try. So that kid's probably going to do 2 tread sleds in one day. And so that's kind of, I'll force them, hey, look, if you beat your time, you only have to do 1. But if you don't, you may have to do 2. But if they run a 41 and then they run a 40.5, that's close enough, and I'll let them slide because at least I know it's close enough to where they tried. Because I do the crap myself, and I know you can't always beat it. But if your numbers are close, I'll at least know you're trying. So I try to record stuff for that. They got to record their depth jump height for that day. They also got to record their dumbbell jump height, and they come in. Next day, you're supposed to beat your numbers. And you got certain kids that may go the whole month, not even really beat the number. They're not really trying. I've done it. The people I've had to go to the professional level have done it. High school kids that are serious can pretty much consistently beat their dumbbell jumps. But there are some kids that will go, they just hate it, so they don't want to freaking do it. That's where it kind of gets frustrating because I know they may be doing a half-ass job, and I say half-ass is better than no-ass. It's as long as you're freaking doing it. Something's better than nothing. Squatting 130, if you got to come in here and squat 315 and you only squat 135, that's better than skipping the day, but I'd rather you not squat 135. The whole thing about that is consistently do something you're supposed to. If you're consistently jumping and if you're consistently trying, you'll get better. But sometimes you may just have an off day and you're not trying. You're consistently jumping like, Jared, I don't feel good today. So just go jump. I would say something's better than nothing. And I know some of these kids that will try and stuff like that. So, and kids, Jared, is that healthy? Well, I don't care if it's healthy or not. All I care if it does is if it produces a result. I mean, you look at these strongman in training. Look at these bodybuilders. Look at some of the drugs within sports. They're not doing it for health purposes. They're doing it to win. You know, so is jumping with weights in your hands healthy? Freak, I don't know, but it improves your vertical jump. If you want to run faster, jumping and running is correlated. You've got to do something. You know, you just, is it healthy to drive a car? No, you got a chance of getting in an accident. But if I'm going to go from here, from point A, if I want to go from the house to the gym, I got to get in a freaking car. You know, people have got the same crap about flying. If you want to go from point A to point B, sometimes there's a risk-reward ratio, whatever. So it's not always about health. It's about performance, especially at this gym. It's not. I'm not a health and fitness club. You know, you got those things down the street with mirrors and treads. They don't have treadmills. They make tread sleds. They got treadmills. So this place is all about performance. I'm trying to measure the kids. Like I spoke a couple podcasts back where I got a 11-year-old girl. She's got a 90-pound bench. I got a 9-year-old girl. She's got an 80-pound bench. Who cares? They're strong, and they've been here for a year consistently. The parents have done an excellent job of keeping them here. And one of the moms told me the other day the 9-year-old was jumping so high that she had the people in the gymnastics gym stop, watch, and take pictures of her and just stop what they were doing and watch this little girl jump. And I've got videos of her jumping like 26 inches. And it's the consistency that led to that result. And like a year ago, they couldn't do that crap. And they even had a girl that came here with them for that one summer. She was stronger than these other two young ones, than the 9, 11-year-old, but she only came for 2 months. Then she came back. She came back this month, so it's been over a year. And my 9, 11-year-old little super girls, they out squatted that girl by 40 pounds. So that girl a year ago was stronger than these two, but these two now are 40 pounds stronger than she is. And so and the dad was sitting there watching. He's like, man, I should have just kept her in here. You never know. You need to take some time and invest in these kids. Like I ran into a kid the other day at Publix, and I know what his parents do. They make good money. And so he said, how much do you think I could bench if I was still stayed at explosive? I said, in the threes, maybe 350, 365. And he goes, man, I really liked coming there. But it was expensive. My parents said we couldn't afford it. And I know and I said, yeah, I know that happens. Well, it's just an excuse because I knew his parents didn't want to take time to invest in what he wanted to do. And you never know how this place can change someone's life. You know, it's never bad to be strong. You know, that helps with their personality, helps bring them out of their shell, makes them feel better about themselves, gives them a boatload of confidence, and you never know what that can do to someone. So take time to invest in your kid that wanted to do something. And that I got another kid that goes to a local high school here. I saw him, he's going to play football. He's a senior, he's going to go play football at Division I school. He only benched 355, and I got so freaking sad. I was like, damn, the kid could be 400 plus. Because he started when Colton and some of the other kids started at such a young age. I was like, 355, that's it? You were benching 335 last year? 20 pounds in a year is kind of sad. And you're going off to college, you never know what kind of freak you're going to walk into when you get in college. So it's like, why not see how strong your kid can be? You know, these kids at such a young age are so resilient. They can bounce back, and their adaptation rate to the strength stimulus is so freaking high. It's unreal. And that's why I like that little 9-year-old, 11, Zach Seymour jumped 33 or 34 inch vertical with 35s in each hand. Colton had the highest vertical jump in the country. Seymour deadlifted 600 pounds at 195 body weight. And all this crap's on my Instagram. Colton at 185 or 190 when he was a high school junior, rep 405 for 2 on bench. Also had the highest vertical jump in the freaking country. The whole freaking country, out of 40 plus thousand kids tested. Speaking of that, I had the number one, the number seven, and the number nine guy in the freaking country for the highest verticals out of one gym. And you know what they had in common? They started when they were 8 or 9 years old. So, and they were kept. Colton had to come here, not because he's my stepson. So I picked his little butt up from school. We'd come to the gym. He hung out with me at the gym for hours every freaking day. When he got to high school, still had to come here after practice. They have to be examples of the gym. The kid that benched 335, 325 for a world record, 151, that's also my kid. Cody Hauser, also another one. I still think he's ranked top 10 in the IPF for squat. He squatted 501 at 17 years old at 161 body weight. He squatted triple, deadlift triple, and bench double body weight in a competition. Also had a 46.1 inch vertical. I don't know why I don't have a freaking video of that, but who knows? I don't. So the kids had to be examples of the gym. And I see some of these other gym owners don't even make the freaking kids work out. No, make them do something they don't want to do. Sometimes you got to go to work to get, like this kid, he squatted today, and he was just blown away. But the work to get that squat to where it was at was not fun. You may like your paycheck, but you may not like going to work. So sometimes you got to do stuff you don't want to do. These kids have become something because of this crap, so you just never know. And I'd seen some kids, like if you listen to the Brooks Hardy one, he couldn't jump over a freaking sheet of paper. Went on, almost broke the Air Force weight throw record as a freshman. It changed his whole personality, his whole way of life. I've had some girls years ago that hated to come when they played volleyball. Why do we got to lift those stupid weights? You have to get stronger. Strength is a limiting factor for sport performance. Bottom line, Nick Chubb, the freaking Georgia Dogs a couple of years ago, 600 pounds squat, look at the freaking running speeds. Ben Johnson, squat 600 pounds. People want to argue steroids. Well, he had steroids. Steroids were invented to make you freaking stronger, so that shows you strength's what you need. These baseball players years ago got busted for drugs. If strength wasn't so important, they would never have steroids. So anyway, I forgot where I was going before I got off on that freaking rant. Take time to invest. I'm going to talk about those girls. Those volleyball girls hated coming here. But they kept coming. They were getting results, and eventually they quit coming. Work here sucks. I had a girl that was going to go play soccer at a D1 school. She quit coming because she said it was too hard. Her parents should have made her come here. She would probably quit soccer. It's too hard. It's too freaking hard. I don't freaking hard. I mean, it pisses me off. So anyway, a couple of years later, I found out that the girls that hated it were figure competitors. They were on stage competing for fitness and stuff. And I was like, damn, you would never have known that they would have done that. You would have never known that this kid that could not squat down with a PVC pipe on his back could squat over 200 pounds a year later. I think he went from a 7.460 to a 5.960 in a year. What's that going to do to someone's? They know they can run. They know they can jump. And you got people that see them in the gym that's not seen them in a while. Man, they've changed. Well, I said, you need to go over there and tell that person that they've changed. So anyway, enough of that rant. Let's get on to Monday. I was watching someone in the 24-hour gym. I got a 24-hour gym next door. I saw his Instagram. He was squatting with a safety squat bar at another place. I was like, damn, take time to drive somewhere else. You remember here, you remember there. I've got stuff they don't, and they have stuff that I don't. So I understand the balancing around, but I'm not really picky about the people over there. It aggravates me when they don't take time to drive a little extra mile. He's an 800-pound plus squatter. He was squatting roughly 600 pounds with a safety squat bar that was not really like an elite fitness safety squat bar or a real manufacturing safety squat bar. It's just kind of like one you'd buy out of Dick's or somewhere like that. And the bar was flexing. I was like, damn, with that much weight, as strong as he is, that bar could snap. So why, at a health club like a World Gym or fitness place or a commercial gym is what I'm trying to say, sometimes they're not going to have equipment that can withstand certain amount of loads. And so that just like, geez, man, he could have got really hurt. And they're not even thinking, they just need to go squat, they need to do workout. But it's funny that it's like funny. It's dangerous. So make sure if you're going to go work out, make sure you go to a place that's going to have good equipment. And if you do, take the time. Again, invest something to go maybe a little extra mile to get to that good bar. Sometimes you're just going to have to do stuff you don't want to do. And that was Monday. Didn't really have a whole lot to say about that. But Tuesday, the last week of every month is test day, and kids, they have to come in, they have to test. Uh, and kids years ago would just come in, like test day was like, hell yeah, let's go. It was like game day. Kids would come in, get pumped up, and now I have to force most. Jared, what do I have to test? Well, geez. Well, testing's not only for you, it's for me too. I need to know. That's how I learn. Is like these kids help me just as much as I help them, and I can't do it without them, and they can't do it without me. Like that kid that improved so much the other day. I said I didn't do it. I just held you accountable, and your parents were stringent enough to make sure that you came all the time. I didn't do anything. You're the one that had to put the work in, and the work you put in was not fun. And so I guess some of these kids don't want to test because they know they didn't put the work in. Like I had two kids in the same group. They ran a tenth of a second slower this month. Jared, well, I guess I need to start squatting. I said, yeah, because he said, I hadn't been squatting this month. I said, I know. He said, well, I guess I need to start squatting. I said, I know. And this other kid was the same way. And it's frustrating because they know what they need to do, but they don't do it. And sometimes their kids be like, because if you're coming back the next consecutive day, so if I will give you whatever that day primarily is. So if it's primarily a bench day, next day is going to be a squat day if you're coming back the next day. So whatever the day they fall in, if they came in on a squat day and they said they're coming back the next day, they're going to squat. Then next day if they come back, they can bench. But if you're telling me you're coming back 2 days in a row, I'm going to give you according to what's going to make the gym flow a little better. But sometimes they'll use that to their advantage. Oh, they bench. Jared, I'll be back tomorrow. Knowing that tomorrow's freaking squat day, then they don't show up. Then I got to yell at them when they get here. Well, something came up. Yeah, something did. A skip day. So anyway, so the last Tuesday of every week that's the only day that everybody, I don't write any squat workouts, I don't write any bench workouts. That day is test day. Although I do test a little bit on Monday, everybody, Tuesday I don't write any workouts. Wednesday, people, if they come every day, they can bench while some other people are tested. Thursday, if they did not test good, they can retest. But it's mainly Tuesday. I reason to do Tuesdays because it's mainly a lower body day. Kids are not as pumped up as they used to be, and sometimes that's okay. They'll come in and they don't want to test, and say, Jared, I don't want to test. I don't. Shit. Sometimes when I say that, they actually test better than they did before. Then they're fired up about it. Like I had a kid that didn't want to test, and he ran a 5.7. The most he's ever ran was a 5.9. He goes, "Oh, I can get a 5.6." Then he was pumped up to run. It's like, geez, who? And sometimes the girls are the worst. They don't want to test in front of people because they're scared of what people are going to think. And I said, y'all got to get over that crap. So we had some kids that had the different results. And sometimes if their 40 does not change, their vertical goes up, and they've been squatting all month, I know that the changes are occurring, and it's just not showing up on the speed side yet. And sometimes if they do get the result on the run, sometimes the jump don't show up. So sometimes they're not always going to be perfect on the running or jumping, but it allows me to tell them what to do next month if they care about the results. If they don't care, I'll still do stuff like tread sled, jumps, and stuff throughout the month in order to try to make them beat something so that when we do test, we do get a better result. So kind of going in that direction. There's some other stuff I wanted to talk about Tuesday. Can't remember. So let's go on to Wednesday. Wednesday, I'm working with a local high school lacrosse team, and those girls do an excellent job. I don't really have to say a whole lot. If I have when I have, they come twice a week, so they're going to bench and squat at the same day twice a week, and they don't ever complain. They just come in and get the work done. And I tested. They've been here, I think, 6 weeks, and team average went up 15 pounds on their bench. Girls are a little bit more tricky because they're not at 100 pounds. So sometimes you get a 5% improvement increase. Sometimes is what I usually go for, about a 5% improvement. But some of them are only coming in here with a 50-pound bench, 45, 65, or whatever. The team average went up 15 pounds. Some girls did go up 20, 25 pounds. Some girls only went up 10, but I think by the time I averaged them out, they were all 15-pound increase. And like I was saying earlier, with bench press correlated with swing speed, I tested these girls' lacrosse throw. They got to use two hands to throw with a stick, so it's kind of like a baseball bat, golf club, two-arm swing. I'm going to test them to see kind of what results the girl's bench. If the girl went up 20 pounds, that her throwing speed go up 2 miles per hour or whatever. So that's going to be on next week's podcast to try to talk about the results. I've also going to test their squat, and I'll see team average squat improvement. And then I'm going to correlate that to their team average 40-yard dash improvement, along with their jumping. So speed and the bench will be interesting, because I know that some of these girls, I just don't have a swing speed tester as far as on a baseball bat or softball bat, but that's going to start happening this year, so that I can see what these baseball players are doing, maybe give them a little bit more interest to want to try harder, and maybe come in and bench and work on their legs. They know legs are key. It's just not always fun. People always want to do stuff that freaking looks cool. Damn, I don't care what it looks like as long as it improves performance. So if it looks cool and it does do nothing for you, I don't want to freaking do it. It's just a waste of time. It may make the kids excited to train, but that's actually a wasted training session because it did not do anything. So just because they see something, oh man, it may be freaking hard, and I may not can be able to do it, but it don't mean, what result is it going to come out of that? You know, like if I want your broad jump to go up, I just push up your 45 hyper. You know, if I want your vertical jump to go up, we're going to work on your freaking squat, but we're also going to work on your jump. You know, squatting's the strength, vertical jumps the rate of force development exercise. So we're gaining our strength, and our strength's going to be limited. Jumping's a skill, so you can have the physical ability, which is the strength to jump higher, but your skill can be waved in different ways like that. With skill can be skill of jumping, or skill could be your sport of throwing, or whatever. You still have to kind of work on it, but the limiting factor is going to be the main power source, which is the squats. So anyway, it'd be fun, interesting to see what happens with these lacrosse girls, and just because something looks cool does not mean it produces a result. Anyway, like the kid with the plows went, oh, that makes explosiveness. Well, how the freak do you know? It may work on, it's supposed to. You know, like a lot of these things, people say, oh, it's supposed to do this. Where's the results? You know, the National Strength Conditioning Association even correlated swing speed with baseball and swing speed, bench press with swing speed in baseball, and bench press with swing speed in golf. So if you increase your bench press, you increase your swing speed. So then you got to increase your bench press in a safe manner in order for those weights to go up about 10 pounds per month. And now you can usually get about 10 pounds per month on average per person, 120 pounds a year on bench. And so whatever. And I've got this kid. We're going to go on Thursday. I got this kid that comes in, and he has ups and downs. And if every kid was like this, and his parents basically make him come too. So you see, he's consistent. He's here, and now that you have to be here so long in order to learn. You know, like you got kids that come out 1 or 2 months, they don't learn anything. They just learn that, hey, we're gonna lift weights, and sometimes they'll talk crap about the gym. Hey, I didn't get any better. They didn't freaking try. They didn't want to do stuff. That pisses me off, because I've got so many people in here that improve over and over and over again. And if the kid does not, I'm going to rack, and the kid cares, I'm going to rack my brain and try to beat myself up, because I need that kid to improve. If he cares, I care. You know, and sometimes if they don't care, I still care, because I want them to show, I want to show them that they can be better than what they are. You know, you may not be the best. Who gives a shit if you're the best? You can get better. Oh, I don't want to do it. I'm not good at that. It don't matter if you're not good at it. You know what? If you got a 5-inch vertical and you get to 6, you got better. So you are better because you jumped higher. You can improve that. If you went from a 14-inch vertical to a 20-inch vertical, that's awesome. You know, you improve. It don't matter what people are thinking. Improve that number. And so it's like, gee, I'll get back to this kid, but like, you're not a sucky person just because you have a bad number, because you can improve that number. You are sucky if you don't improve it. You know, and that's you. So, I'm bad. No, you're not. Well, you're bad, but you can always get better. So, this kid been here long enough to where he's had ups and downs with training. If I should have brought his folder over here and I didn't, he was supposed to squat 265 for sets of 3 the other day. He did 2, 1, 1, 1, missed his reps. And that's because he didn't squat within a week. And he's already done, prior to that day, he's already done 265, 2 sets of 3. So I said, man, it's going to be a rough day. And he said, we'll see. He said, but I'll try anyway. And I know he's trying. So the other day, came in, I backed off on him. And then I pushed him a little harder for sets of 5 at about a 5% decrease from that 265. Then we came back to the 265 after having 2 additional. So we had a bad squat day with 265. Then we had a down day. We had a push day. Then we pushed again to get back to 265. Then he was able to clean it up and get all 4 sets of 3. So he knows that if he misses, he's going to have a rough couple of days. So you see those 3 workouts actually took a week out of his time in order to get back to where he was at. And so he's one of those kids that will have ups and downs if he's not consistent, but he knows that. And so you'll get some of these kids that will come in here and, oh, I missed it. Whatever. Oh, Jared, I missed last week. I'm sorry. Can I come? What the freak? How do you ingrain it into someone's head? You have to stay consistent. Like, Jared, I can't get my bench to move. Well, it looks like you only benched 4 times last month. I don't think my bench would move 4 times if I benched 4 times a month either. Or, hey, Jared, my 40 didn't improve, but I went here to freaking squat. No shit. It's like, oh, but then are they going to keep coming, or are they not going to come because they have to squat or whatever, or they're not getting stuff they want? They got to put the work in to get the stuff you want. That's all I'm trying to say. And this guy knows it. And I told him he could come late one night. He works late on Mondays, and Mondays is his bench day. And we've got an experiment going to where we'll talk about the conjugate stuff or how you can change stuff around later. But we always don't change our bench too often. Like I had a kid the other day. Geez, I'll get off these damn apples. I'm down for that. I said, no, you got to stick with this. You know, you can't just come in, think something's cool on bench. Oh, I want to do this bench day, and I want to do this bench day, or I want to do this bench day. Maybe if you're a 500-600 pound squatter, you're not strong enough to change more often. The less strong you are, the more you have to stay with the same crap over and over. So if you're not a 400 pound bencher, don't come in here and do incline one bench workout. Next day come in and do floor press. Next time come in and bench. And next time always switch up your freaking bench. Your body has never had time to adapt to training. Is not to adapt to training, but when you got to get to a point is to where you have to drive your strength up to where you're not improving it, then you switch to something else. Like you can have a kid. I had a kid one time, we went to bench. We didn't bench at all. He was trying to get 405. So, you know, that's where I'm talking. We're at a higher level elite person for a high school kid to bench 405. And so we drove we did bench, but we didn't push the bench. We just kind of maintained the pattern. We took his incline, drove his incline from 285 to 315. And without benching very much, he benched from 385 to 405. And so the incline was the limiting factor that held him back from producing his more bench. So these kids, why we got an incline? Shit. We just have to get this done. So what I'm experimenting with this kid is I gave him we went through a whole month of benching with no change, just straight weight. The next month we did the same cycle, exact same things I gave him, and the same pattern, we added a chain. That was next month. This third month, now we've added 2 chains. So he's not really done, by the time he's done with this, he's not really done straight weight on a bench for 2 months, but he's trying to get to 225, and so we're trying to keep him consistently benching, and that's why he can come in at whatever, because he knows if he misses, his bench is going to suffer. So we're trying to get him to where what he was doing, and I've got it down on a day where I wrote down where he did 5 sets of 5. He did 5, 4, 4, 3, 3 or something, whatever that number is going to be. And so I said, when we get to that point with these double chains, now we have 2 chains on each side of the bar instead of 1, you need to beat that. So like I said earlier, record all this stuff, have notes, and it's all in this folder to where we can go back and look certain number of days, maybe last month, maybe last 2 months. All right, this is what you did there. If you can come in and beat this, you'll get better. Like I got a kid that's really trying to bench. He wanted to get 200 Well, halfway off his chest, couldn't get it because freaking triceps. Like I said, look, I keep telling these people, you got to go work your triceps. You know, like when my bench press on incline went 365 to 405, the basic difference was my tricep press down was barely able to do 130 for 2 reps, and I was doing 150 for 5 on tricep press downs. So once my tricep strength and my tricep press downs improved, I went back and my incline went 365 to 405. I got videos of that. And so and this 365 to 405 probably happened within about a 5-6 week period, just because I focused on driving my and that's when I learned. And when Louis told me years ago, bench is at 75 to 80% triceps, I was like, whatever. And he said once he learned how to bench, his chest got smaller. Well, once I learned how to bench, my chest got smaller too. I don't use my chest. You know, like in bodybuilding and these fitness magazines, we're looking at bench press, and it's a chest exercise. If you're more flat on the bench, yes, it could be, but we're not. We're benching in the safest possible manner, so we're having an arch to give us more of a mechanical advantage to press the weight out, and then the chest becomes more of a stabilizer instead of a prime mover, because the prime mover then becomes the triceps. And so what I've learned is you still have to do bench, but then you also have to do other stuff to work your chest, because if you do not strengthen the stabilizer or work the stabilizer or build the stabilizer, you can use bodybuilding methods for that. If you don't work that, you can have some more pec strains and stuff, and I've had some scares with that, but that's because I skip around and do stuff. Minimum effective dosage, you know, I'll get in that later. So anyway, this kid knows he has ups and downs, and missing days is critical for him. Like a couple of years ago, I had Brooks Hardy. He ran a 4.540, missed 2 weeks in a month because of vacation and stuff like that. Came back and ran a 4.7. Those 2 weeks cost him 0.2 of a second. Then the next month he went down to a 4.6. The next month we finally ran a 4.5. Next month we ran a 4.5. So we was able to run a 4.5 2 months in a row consistently. But those 2 weeks he went from 4.5, 4.7. Next month 4.6. Next month back down to 4.5. So 2 weeks cost him 2 months. So you'll only know that if you're here consistently. Also, just for some information, if you have, and I may have talked about this on some other podcasts, kids running a 40-yard dash, if they are doing their sport of basketball, if they're doing the sport of baseball, if they're doing lacrosse, whatever, if they run on their legs the day before, that 40-yard dash time is going to be worse. 1 to 0.2 of a second. We've had a kid that was supposed to run a 4.9 or 4.8, came in and ran a 5.3. I said, what the hell did you do? Oh, I had a soccer game yesterday. I was like, oh, geez. You know, so then I'll try to get them to come back Thursday, and we'll rerun it, and then those numbers will show up later. So it just, that lets me know after testing so many kids, if they do something the day before, or usually it's just primarily the day before, I've never really seen it 2 days. If they do too much of it, or if they run or they play basketball PE, they run a mile that day in PE or whatever they're kind of doing at school, it will drastically affect the 40-yard dash next day. So when you see these kids going and running these combines and these tests, make sure they're not doing anything on their legs the day before, because I test them on Tuesday, have crap numbers because of what they did on Monday. Don't do anything Wednesday, come back on Thursday, we'll test, and they get the number they're supposed to. Time after time, year after year, been freaking testing people for over 10 years. So I've seen it, and it happens with the little ones too. I mean, you're talking about your 10, 11, 12-year-olds, and it's really big on your high school kids. So that's a tidbit of information, and so I wish people were like this kid, missing the ups and downs, knows what happens. So anyway, that was my week, and I've got 2 training questions that came in, so I'm going to answer these training questions, and then I'll be out of here before I keep rambling on forever. Anyway, this guy's named Jason. He said, Jared, I just want to say thank you for all your podcasts. It's very helpful. I'm a dad of 3 boys that attend a private school with no PE. I'm looking to train them. Can you go more into depth on max effort days? Example, the 3 rep or the 5 rep max based off preference chart at 90%. I got lost in your answer. Yes, because I ramble all over the place. All right, so what I was saying with that is I'll try to write it down here. If we say, let's go for a 3 rep max. you think that your 3 rep max is going to be 315. All right, so you don't start by going up, you start by going back. So let's start with 315. If you think you can do 315 for 3, on Prelpin's chart, 90% or above is 4 lifts. Okay, four lifts at 90% or above. So even if your lifts are like a 3 rep max, although it's 3 reps, it's still 1 lift. If it's a 5 rep max and it's at 90% of your 5 rep max potential, it's still 1 lift. So let's take this. Let's go 315. You can do a set of 3 with it. That's 1 lift above 90%. That should be your 100%. So 315. Let's start 315, and let's go backwards. 315. 300 would be 95%, and 285 would be 90. So now we have at least 3 lifts. 285, 300, 315, and the chart says, I believe, 4 lifts. Well, if you get 315 for 3, then you also have room to go for 320, 325, 330, kind of however you feel, or film yourself, see what your reps are doing. That will allow 4 lifts above 90% or more. And so if you get the 4th lift, so if you got successful, 285 for 3, 300 for 3, 315 for 3, you got 1 more lift for optimal training. You can do 325, you get that 3, you got your 4 lifts, be done, move on, record that. Then when you come back to that 3 rep max, oh, I did 325 for my last set of 3. Well, all you have to do is a set of 3 at 330, but 330 can go same way. You can go 330 would be now you're 100%, then 315, then 300, then 285, and you're still right around the same thing, because or whatever. So anyway, if you see what I'm saying with that, so you can start, but the thing about the max effort, you at least want 8 attempts. So if we're going to go for 315 for 3, that's 1, 285, then you may go 270, then you may go 255, 225, 185, and 135 for your warm-up set. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's perfect. So that would be 135 for 3. So if you're going to work up to a 3 rep max, I have all my people do 3s all the way up. So 135 for 3, 185 for 3, 225 for 3, 255 for 3, 270 for 3. Now we're into our 90% or above, which would be 285, 300, and 315 for 3. And if 315 for 3 went up, you can try for your 4th total lift, 320, 325, or 330. Same thing if you wanted to do 315 for a 5 rep max. It's the same rep pattern and things like that. Just account for whatever. So if you're going to squat 4 or 5 for a set of 3 for your 3 reps max or 4 or 5, being at 400s, each 5% is 20 pounds. We go 405, 385, and 365, which would be 90% of 405. That gives you 3 lifts. You can do 350 in case 405 is. That 350 is not 90%, but then we're starting to get up higher. So that's how I do it. 405 for 3, 385 for 3, 365 for 3, and 405 is good. You can go to your 4th lift. Does that make sense? So then I just start back 405, because then I go back 5%. That way I know I'm at 90% by that 3rd lift. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, then you go 335, 315, 275, 225, maybe 185, and 135. So if I went for a 405 for 3s, 135, 185, 225, 275, 315, 335, 350, 365, 385, 405, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sets. So you could probably skip out on the 185 if you wanted to. So anyway, hopefully that answers your question. That's kind of how I would work up to a max effort day for a 3 rep or 5 rep max. I figure out, okay, if my kid's only going to do 250, let's go to 40, let's go to 30, let's go to 20, then maybe 205, 185, 155, 135, something like that. So anyway, Jason, hope that answers your question. Thanks for the email. I've got another guy, Bradley Johnson. I want to thank you for all your help. Since listening to you, my vertical has gone from a 28-inch vertical to a 36-inch vertical. But I want to know about the specifics. How many times per week do you squat, and what accessories do you use? Or any tips that you may have. Well, Bradley, I like for my people to squat 3 days a week. If I'm in good enough shape, I like to try to squat 3 days a week myself, although I'm older. It just depends on if I can recover from it. If I can't recover from it, it's because I'm not conditioned enough. And I've learned lately that the conditioning factor, as far as leg conditioning, as far as like the sled dragging and stuff that Louis talks about, if I am in better shape, I recover quicker, I get more stuff in. So typically 3 days a week is how many days, what accessories do we do? Mm, we may do some rack pulls, leg curls. I know that if my knees start bothering me, I got to add a lot more hamstring work in. If you do backside work, it takes pressure off the front side. So the more hamstrings you can throw in there, if you want to do sets of 30 on banded leg curl, sets of 50 on banded leg curl every day, that's not really a stressor. That allows the hamstrings to work without stressing them. So that's a way to sneak some work in without killing them. Then you can do some good mornings. Uh, Please be careful on good mornings. I've seen people try to overload it. I mean, it's more about the volume of work at this point, because if you're deadlifting, your back's already getting the stressor for the hip extensor. If you just work on your good morning to give your hamstrings some extra work, that would be good. That would work your hamstrings at the hip, which you have to extend your hip when you squat. Also, if you got knee issues, do leg curls. So your hamstrings cross the hip and they cross the knee. So kind of, if you need better hip extension when you're coming out of the hole, or like when you're jumping and stuff, like hip extension exercise, strengthening with that would be like your deadlifts, regular deadlifts, sumo deadlifts, or good mornings. You could push the strength with the deadlift and accessorize the deadlift with some good mornings, and make sure you get some leg curls in, either the banded leg curls all week long or banded leg curls all week long, along with on your squat days, throw in some heavy leg curls to help with the hamstring at the knee joint. So anyway, probably rambled on a lot, talked a little bit longer today than I normally do. Hopefully I answered people's questions, gave you insight as to what I do. If you like the podcast, please share, like, whatever. Follow me on Instagram at Explosive Mechanics, Twitter at Explosive MEC, Facebook at Explosive Mechanics, or whatever, however you tag that Facebook stuff. So anyway, thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for listening. And if you have questions, email me. I've been trying to pay attention to my Instagram lately. So just want to try to help each other more on a weekly basis. Thank you very much. Have a good day.